because you are literally an eternal living quantum creator in an embodiment of flesh. That means what? That means as you speak it, so it is.
Welcome to the Expanded Podcast with your host, Lacey Phillips. As a leading manifestation advisor with a process that's, radically different from the old New Age model, mine is rooted in psychology, neuroscience, and my energetic gifts. I created this podcast to help you expand your subconscious limiting beliefs about the potential of deserving the manifestations you're calling in. Therefore, you're tuning into this podcast series to show your subconscious that anything you desire is possible. And by pressing play, you've already started the process of manifesting it. If you enjoy this episode, please leave us our review, comment, and share it with your fellow manifestor that's struggling or could really benefit from the information that you're about to learn. Welcome back this week, everybody. What did I want to talk about? Well, I really miss doing my roundups on the blog. So I love sharing things with you that I've discovered or found. I don't get paid for any of these. I'm just, again, sharing to my community if you're going through the same things or you have similar taste. One thing that I want to share is, you all know I've been on this fertility journey now for 3 years, and I've been pretty dedicated to trying everything holistically I can before having to do something more invasive. And I still don't feel like I'm quite at that space yet. I still really am focused in the natural realm, although I do support everybody who is going through IVF or IUI. I have many friends who have a lot of success with it, and that may be the route that I'll be taking one day. But I still am like that sort of wellness warrior that's like, I just want to chip away and crack the code of what's going on here. And three things I'm going to mention that I wish I would have tried from day one, which is such a shame because I knew of these out the gate, but we do everything we do in the right time that we're supposed to. Number one is the book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility. It is a Bible. I think every woman should own this book, whether you are trying to use the, charting method for birth control, if you just want to learn literally about charting so you can discover what's going on in your body and wellness at all times. Like, what is this cyst right now? What hormones are happening at this moment? It is so incredibly informative, and it really showed me my low temps, what's kind of going on with that. So that's one thing. But I didn't actually start charting right out the gate because I actually wake up multiple times in the night. And so many people who are familiar with basal body temperature charting, you have to have 3 consecutive hours of sleep. And I don't really have that all the time because I used to have a lot of endocrine issues. So I finally made the plunge and I went ahead and purchased the Ava bracelet. We'll link all of this below. And that has been tremendous wearables because those 3 hours consecutive that I do get, I don't have to worry about waking up right away and sticking a thermometer under my tongue. It automatically, takes that information. And not only that, but it takes like how long you slept and your heart rate. And it's supposed to be one of the most accurate, even if you're using it for like a birth control method, accurate methods, because it really, really times out your exact time of ovulation. But oh my God, with 1 month of charting, I just know so much of my body. And then I have this Bible of this book I can read, Taking Charge of Your Fertility, just to understand it much deeper. So those are 2 game changers. If you're kind of in my boat and you want to learn a whole lot more, those are 2 huge things. And let me see if I can actually pull up my calendar while I'm talking to you guys. But I heard this wonderful podcast episode. I can't remember the podcast. And it talked all about, basically, there are these doctors who are Western doctors, but they really dive super deep into your basal body temperature charts to find the root cause of illness, of unexplained infertility, which I do air quotes with when that comes up. And so I'm actually going to see one in a week, I believe. And she's located down in Newport. And these type of doctors are called NAPRO Technology. So the one I found is down in Newport. Her name is Dr. Kotab. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm going to see her actually, so we can really dive deep. And I just think this is cool. I've always been into cracking my own health code. It's how I've healed every other issue I've ever gone through. So those are two huge game changers. And number three, this is something else I knew as a resource right out the gate, but I just never made the move on it until I read a testimonial. I'm like you guys. Many of you have probably had to read multiple testimonials before you've jumped to do this actual manifestation work. Well, I'm that kind of consumer as well. That's why we share so many, because that's how I relate to brands. And basically it's on naturalfertility.info, I believe, or .org is the website. They have these products, and one's called the fertility cleanse. And basically the first part of your cycle, it's all about cleansing everything, the liver, and basically helping you get rid of any excess hormones. And I was really suffering from that. And then from ovulation on, it's all about super priming your uterus and just helping you regulate all of that hormone balance. And that was transformative. Many of you know that I worked with one of the best fertility acupuncturists in Los Angeles, and he is phenomenal, but we both didn't realize I had the MTFHR, if I'm saying that correctly, gene mutation from both of my parents, not just one. So I wasn't able to actually, detoxify those hormones quick enough. So it actually really created terrible PMS for me that I've been struggling with, whereas I never used to have any. So this totally regulated. It was the first cycle. I didn't have any breast tenderness, acne, all of that great stuff that I've been getting. So I want to share those resources with you. They'll be linked below if you're at all in the same boat or you have a friend that's in that boat that's dealing with unexplained infertility with literally no signs showing anywhere as to why things aren't happening for the couples that have both been tested. Can we also take a moment to talk about that sheltered co-anxiety blanket or weighted blanket, I know is their proper terminology? My dogs, and Max fight over this blanket. And I kind of wrote these off for a really long time because I don't know, everybody had them, or maybe they just weren't chic enough. And this is finally the first company, my friend actually works with them, who she kept telling me about the company long enough that I was like, okay, I have to try one of these. And it's hand crocheted by mothers, if I'm understanding that correctly, or women. And it's like natural, organic, I think, and all of those good things. Anyway, I finally got one and I use it all the time. And that there's a little key thing. I think I've shared this with you before, but if you prop pillows under your knees, kind of like they do when you get treatments, massage or acupuncture, but actually you elevate. I use two pillows so that the most important thing is that your heels are dangling. They're not touching anything. And then you have a pillow under your neck and you throw that sucker on you, your stomach will start gurgling in minutes, which I think it happens actually even quicker for me, seconds, which indicates that you've gone into parasympathetic so that you're no longer in fight or flight, that you now can digest your food. And, it helps your hormones come back and it just regulates your nervous system. So I've really loved that. And I just wanted to share that. We'll link it below too. And let's move into two announcements. Number one, the Forest Retreat House calendar is live now. I'm not sure how many spaces we still have available, but you can find that link below if you intend to visit Yosemite and you're looking for a chic wellness, completely loaded space to do that, or just to go there with friends or couples to go and experience this work. You get access to every single workshop while you're there. Everybody in your party does. You can find that below and sign up for it. And the most exciting thing, I think we've been talking about this for a year. We finally released the tour dates last week of my speaking tour, which is going to be a live form of supported. So you get to bring every question you have, any question you have about manifestation, and we get to meet and chat, and you get to meet your unblocked village within that city and make like-minded friends. So I'm really excited about that. If you find yourself in November in LA or San Francisco, you can check me out there and we can connect there. And then in December, I will be in Chicago and New York, and we'll kind of take it from there to see where we go next. So find that link below to start signing up for your tickets. I can't wait to connect with you. Today's guest needs very little introduction. Many of you already know we've had a podcast episode with him before, which was really groundbreaking. And today, Shaman Durek is back, and he is sitting down with us to dive super deep into his powers and gifts, which I have to say are stronger than ever. And a way I'll back this up, when you're listening to this episode, he actually does tons of diagnostics on me and reads into me. And he is so unbelievably accurate in everything he says. And not even that, he even legitimized the woman that I use, who's a medium and a doula. She's a baby spirit communicator who I talked about in the intro, I think 3 episodes back. Her name is Sufi. We'll link her below. And she did a reading on me recently, which was so incredibly accurate. Like, I want this woman to be my doula and help me find my team if I ever do get pregnant. She's amazing. And every single thing she said to me in my reading, you get to hear aloud, because Shaman Durek said the exact same thing, down from the spirits that are in the house to the one that connected with me pre-buying the house to everything he said about my body. She said the exact same thing. So now I know how even more legitimate she is than I had even originally felt, which was incredibly talented and powerful. So in this conversation, I mean, he blows me away, obviously. He makes me cry. He teaches me so many tools, and you guys too, especially how you can start cracking the code of shamanism for yourself today. He kind of walks through his book and tells you a few spirit hacking tools for that. And he taps into the reasons why I've been suppressing my own clairvoyant gifts and communication with the spirits around my new Topanga home. I mean, this episode's totally loaded. You're going to love it. I really don't have to say anymore. So I'm going to let you enjoy it now. Well, welcome back, Shaman Durek. I mean, we're going to give you a big intro in the beginning. No intro needed. What have you been up to?
Oh,
since
what
we
have I
talked
been up
last?
to? It's a lot. So I've been focusing a lot of my efforts in really helping people to understand how to kind of shift into a space where they're not codependent upon a system, but really looking at where they're codependent in their life. Like, what areas are they Is it relationships? Is it codependent in the way that they operate as far as their, what we quote, job, right? Which I call loving service. Is it codependent in the way in which they take care of themselves? Do they rely on other people to fill up their vessel? Or are they self-reliant and being able to manifest their own individual surge of life force energy and not perseverance, but to preserve themselves in the most beautiful and most eloquent way. So I look at all of these factors because I feel like right now for me, and like I was in London, and I've been all around speaking in London, talking. It was like doing like Bulletproof conference, speaking to a bunch of doctors, talking to like neuroscientists, talking to like every type of person to help them to understand shamanism out of the context of it being about plant medicine, but more in the context of it being about how we can co-adapt and how do we use the knowledge of shamanism in physiology, in kinesiology, and understanding the body and understanding relations to how we communicate our words, our actions, and how we live our environments and how we are affected by aggressive markers or non-aggressive markers and how that plays a huge part in our evolution. And a lot of times what people don't realize is they just pick up and go and move somewhere. Oh, we're going to move to Chicago, or we're going to go move to this place. But they don't really tune into their baseline code and their rhythmic code, which basically tells them that if some people are not meant to live in cold, and some people are not meant to be in hot weather, and some people are not meant to be in dry land. They need to be by the ocean. And so, people have to get back to that core place. And so that's kind of what my focus has been. So I've been speaking a lot about that, and then also came out of the closet with my relationship, which has been really wonderful and beautiful and just awe-inspiring for so many levels, because one, we were hiding it from people, and then we realized that if we have to be open about it, because we can't keep like sneaking around the door and kissing each other and like walking down the street, and like especially in Norway as well, because she has bodyguards. And so I would have to walk in front of her. I wouldn't be able to walk with her, and like I wouldn't be able to get in the car with her because it's all, you know, based on the royal family. And so for me, it was really great that we actually came forth and said, like, you know, we are in a relationship, we are in love. The onslaught of the energy that came back was, I would say, necessary. And even though gave me 7 breakdowns, I did have 7 nervous breakdowns.
Oh, my favorite, those rock bottoms to
yeah,
the next
those
level.
rock bottoms were so intense. I felt like death was ripping me apart.
The worst. I totally can relate to
Yeah, because like the media can be a very big monster, right? And it's actually taught me a lot about what kind of world we're actually living in when you actually see the things that people were writing me. I was like, the word I came up with was ravenous, right? It's like the witch hunts and the Christian crusades and all of that stuff that was in the past has now regenerated itself to the comments and to the trolling and to like people making, like, everyone's got a comment
about the same shit too.
Yeah.
Of the past. It's the same shit.
It's the same thing.
It's like we're still talking about
Yeah,
this.
we're still in this idea of persecute and find something wrong instead of
Totally.
look for something beautiful.
Shame, breakdown.
Yeah, shame and breakdown. And what's interesting about the whole thing is that people actually feel that they're getting empowered by this energy, and they don't realize all they're doing is empowering darkness on the planet.
Yep.
So that's been interesting, experiencing that. And then also learning about the royal family, learning about the heritage and like their connections. I'm still learning. I've got so much more to learn.
Oh, do I have some shows for you to watch? I'm obsessed with, like, the lineage is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, I really would like
And
to
how
definitely.
cutthroat that shit used to be.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Wild.
Big time. And like, not even just that, but just like, even just like, when I was with her in Norway and then going to the Royal Palace and like watching how everything is done, it's still the same way. It's all like buttoned up and like, you know, there's all these courtesies and behaviors and, you know, and the Queen always sat next to me. Every time we did dinner, she was always sitting next to me. And it was like she wanted to get to know who her daughter is dating, which I get it, you know, and it was great. We had great conversations. But what I found was interesting was during that time, I had went to the royal wedding for Princess Alexandria and the Count. And it was interesting because I'm at this wedding. The other princesses are coming in from other countries, you know, and they're meeting them, and we're all having fun and laughing and everything. And then I'm thinking, oh, this is great. And then this one guy comes in, starts coming in after me in a very racist way, like, you know, making comments. And it was such a good practice for me to
give us your reaction on that.
So literally,
for people to have tools.
Yeah. So basically, after the royal dinner, we sat down in the room where everyone was having tea and all the princesses got together, and then all like the princes and the dukes and everyone got together. And then it was just me and this girl talking to me about how she wants to get involved with the things that I'm doing, and like, and she wants to come to some workshops. And then her father comes, who is, you know, a very aristocratic brother to one of the princes, and says to me, you know, where did you learn these etiquettes from? And I said, I grew up with them. And he goes, oh, well, your family must be weak. And I said, well, why is my family weak? He said, because they have to teach you these things so you could fit in, so you can pretend. Because, you know, you don't really belong here. Like, this isn't, you know, where you belong. I said, actually, my family's very strong, and I'm sorry that you choose to feel that way, you know, and respectfully, you're entitled to whatever you choose to feel. And he goes, well, he's like, where's your heritage from your shamanism and stuff? And I said, from Ghana. And he goes, oh, yeah, you know, we were the biggest slave traders in Ghana. And I was like, well, again, you know, you know, that's unfortunate. And then I went to go shake his hand, which I never do. I always hug people. But in those situations, you have to be very formal. I went to shake his hand. He pulled his hand away, and he was just like, that's disgusting. I would never shake your hand. Don't ever touch me. And it was interesting because it brought me back to Martin Luther King when he was going to the podium to say his famous speech. And on his way to the podium, this man spit in his face. And he reached into his handkerchief out of his pocket and wiped the spit and folded it and handed it to the man and said, I do believe this belongs to you, sir. And he kept walking. And, you know, my girlfriend, she was so upset, you know, and she's just like, I can't believe he said those things to you. Like I want to, like, you know, I want to go deal with this. And I was like, no, let's not deal with it, because he's hurting. He's in pain. He's got wrong information. He's in a different energy. I have to know what's on my shelf. And that's the thing with life. It's like people will send me hate mail. I get people writing all kinds of things like giving me the N word. You don't belong in the royal palace. Like, who do you think you are? And like, just all kinds of things. And what I love about it is it's stirring the pot. Right. And also, what I love about it is it's giving me an opportunity to sit in my resolve of who I am and realize that everything that's happening is happening so that people can go through their shifts and change. And I rather than bring it out than cover it up and act like it doesn't exist, and then at the same time, it's helping me become more clear, because what happens, the biggest mistake that I see with people is that someone will say something rude to you and they create insult. But then you turn it into injury because you begin then to accept what they've said or take it personally. The moment you take it personally or accept what they said, you're literally saying that this is true.
We kind of, and this is on a different energetic spiritual level, but I think this is really going to be thematic in this conversation, because you were having a conversation with Nikki, who's part of our team, prior to this, and she had been in a situation where there was sort of darkness around her and a spell. And what did you say to her, which is going to coincide with what you just said?
What I said is that just because something looks different or you don't understand it or it's uncomfortable doesn't mean we should immediately pull it to the polarity of darkness, right? We're giving darkness too much power. Like if we go in our lives all the time looking for the darkness, calling out the darkness, that's what the darkness wants. It wants you to give it a voice. It wants you to give it a costume so it can scare you. It needs you to create all types of imagery so that it can take form in those imageries. And it wants you to constantly say it's dark, because you are literally an eternal living quantum creator in an embodiment of flesh. That means what? That means as you speak it, so it is.
That's it. And as you literally accept it, so it is.
That's right.
Really. And that's what this, and I think what you're giving us such valuable information on the physical plane, on the spiritual plane, on the spirit plane. When you're receiving shame, you're receiving insult, when you feel like you have I still suffer from this, is like having mediumship skills and not wanting anything to do with them. But when I start to give it form of darkness, when I accept it, so it is. And I think this is so valuable for everybody listening who's going through hardship. It's like, I'll let you continue speaking on this, but I just want you to take this in, whomever's listening to this.
Yeah, it's important because, if we register the qualification of what someone says to us as truth, then we are basically diminishing the value of ourselves by what we should know, which is the truth, which is that we're beautiful, amazing, powerful, delightful, geniuses, creative,
authentic,
worthy, prosperous, abundant beings, right? And so if you don't have your shelf filled, then someone else is going to fill it for you. It's like someone could say something to me, but then I go into my inner self and go, oh, that's not what's on my shelf. So that's not qualified, right? And then I just simply say, I'm sorry you choose to feel that way, and bless them. Because everyone is entitled to perceive what they want to perceive.
Their matrix.
Yeah.
Totally.
But it doesn't mean that I have to, go into what they choose to perceive as my reality.
Or give it power.
Right. And that's what I love about quantum physics. It's because it's like the energy of all things existing within all things existing within all things existing. And even the things you don't believe exist that you're not even aware of exist. And so all happening simultaneously. And so we get to literally use our consciousness as a point direction to that which we want to perceive as existed or non-existent.
Absolutely.
Right? And so what I'm either doing is I'm contributing to the investment of something. So if I'm going to spend time with you, I'm investing in spending time with you. If I see something and it's uncomfortable, why am I going to invest my energy into something that's uncomfortable versus invest myself into looking at the beauty of the flowers, right? And so it's really about this understanding of energy maintenance and management, because it's really understanding that you every day are walking out the door dealing with all types of people in your life who are living in different worlds and different dimensions. And what they perceive or what they're doing that affects you is because that's what you're doing in your internal self. So your nucleus is already being affected by you. So I always tell people, if you tell someone people don't get you, that's because you don't get you.
And you're projecting it.
Yeah.
And therefore you're receiving it back.
Absolutely.
Totally.
You're creating the narrative for people to show up in and treat you. If you're a person who keeps getting treated bad in relationships, that's because you treat yourself bad.
And you like really truly believe you're not worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a projection there. You're choosing, in essence, I believe, like really subconsciously, but that's the projection that's coming off.
Right.
1000%.
Yeah, people can only show up like if you're a person, like I said this to a woman once, I said, if you're a person who's filling yourself up, nurturing yourself, loving on yourself, and just being this sustenance of joy and love and elation for your own beingness, and some man walks into a bar and you're in that bar and he's all about being hurt, he's been in pain from his childhood, he's got all this lack and limitation inside of him and all this anger at himself, and so he needs someone to share it with. He's not going to see you because your frequency is not in alignment. He's going to share it with the person who he knows will accept it.
Totally. Completely. I believe it wholeheartedly. One thing I've been thinking about, Shaman Durek, since we talked last on your podcast. So if anybody on this podcast has not heard me on Shaman Durek's or heard his original podcast on mine, please go listen to both of those. But after the podcast, I had the luxury of sitting with you and the team and your niece, who I think is just the most beautiful Aquarian on the planet. And she was telling me about, this sort of workshop you were holding with this sort of religious group, and you brought their ancestors forward. And I literally sit every day and I'm like, I want to see my ancestors. But tell us about that gift. Tell us everybody has access to that in a way. Tell us what went on there, because I think about this all the time.
So the thing we have to understand is that everything that you can perceive in the universe is held within your ego, because your ego's job is to basically protect the narrative that you are actually writing, right? So you are literally a writer for the universe. And then creation is the amplifier of those writings, of that code. So I always say, the whole advertising thing that humans did on Earth was like putting Jesus in his underwear on a cross, scantily clad on a cross, and use that as an advertising scheme to get people to feel like, oh my God, I should feel bad. He died for my sins and all this kind of stuff. Instead of showing a picture of him when he was just absolutely in joy and
Christ
happy and elation and blissful and shining heart light energy to everyone around him, right? So if we look at the narratives that we create, I realize that the ego's job is when people say kill your ego. I think it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, or get rid of your ego. It just doesn't, it's not possible. You have to have an ego if you're on planet Earth. Ego identifies things and solidifies things for you so that you can play in that playground for whatever you need from that. And then when you change the narrative, the ego supports the next narrative. Mm-hmm. So think of your ego as this amazing confidant who's there just supporting your narrative. So if you get so caught up in your narrative and you don't want anyone to come in your narrative, then your ego becomes defensive to anyone who tries to get into that narrative, right? And so that's when you see people get upset and be defensive, it's because they've created a narrative that they don't want you to infiltrate, okay? So we go into recognizing that. So we go into the understanding that if people are operating on that level and people are operating in that space, then we look at what's intrinsically inside of each individual person. What's intrinsically inside of them in the nature of their being is pure love, right? It's this pure love consciousness. But in order for people to get to a space where they recognize that I have to have tools, I have to have this, I have to have that in order to be able to make a change on something, creates another narrative. And that narrative then suggests that something's missing from you, or that you have to gain something instead of it already being with you, right? And so again, you're writing another script. So a lot of times people will say, I'm working on blah, blah, blah. Why are you working on it? Why aren't you learning to accept it?
That it is that which is.
Right. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Put your hand out like that. There's one hand, okay? Say, I generate electricity in my right hand.
I generate electricity in my right hand.
Beyond my doubts.
Beyond my doubts.
My fears.
My fears.
My belief systems.
My belief systems.
And my ideas of what's true.
And my ideas of what's true.
Now. What are you feeling?
I mean, I always feel tons of fucking energy in my hands, so now it's just energy.
Right, okay. Now say, I felt the energy.
I felt the energy.
I increase it.
I increase it. Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Now I say, I felt that.
I felt that.
Go up my arm.
Go up my arm. Mm-hmm.
I felt that.
I felt that.
Go into my heart and expand it.
Go into my heart and expand it. Mm-hmm.
You see, now that right there,
Anybody can do that.
right. Okay. Now watch. Again, I felt that in my heart.
I felt that in my heart.
I open up an energy frequency
I open up an energy frequency
to the other side
to the other side
and bring my ancestor who needs to be here with me now.
and bring my ancestor who needs to be here with me now.
What did you feel?
I think I'm closed off.
No, you don't think you're closed off. You're
I'm
choosing to
deciding
accept to be
yes.
closed off.
And let's talk about this for a fucking minute, because this is something that needs to change. So, number one, you know, I have, and we talked about this on the last podcast, and you gave me a great tool to love spirits and to, you know, love
Yeah.
them away,
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
the saying.
Yeah, we turn them home, help them get home.
Exactly. And I'm so afraid of this gift, Shaman Durek, which is totally, purely 100% based on the shit I was exposed to. It's like,
So let's shift your narrative right now.
Yes.
So right now this is what I call reinforcement of narrative. Every part of your being wants to operate at its optimum level of spiritual enlightenment.
mhm.
But we as human beings speak again to reinforce that which wants to get out.
Well, here's the thing on this, because
So one second, I'm going to play a game with you.
Okay.
Okay. Let's play a game. So, why do you want to say that you're afraid?
let me paint a picture and then you help me.
How about no picture? How about just simply telling me, why do you want to say you're afraid?
Because it feels honest.
And is your fear honest? Have you held it up to love to see if it's really honest? Or is it just because you're saying it's honest?
No. Yeah, when I'm in like a loving super space, like when I sense a presence around and I'm in a very loving space,
Couldn't you choose to be in a loving space right now?
I can.
So
Yeah.
choose it right now. Good. And then give love to the part of yourself that's afraid. And then as you give love to that part of yourself that's afraid, realize the reason why you're afraid is because you're afraid that you won't have control over what could happen.
Yes. Scared of what it could happen to me.
Exactly.
So
that
what
you would
the
have no
fuck?
control over it. Now,
Okay.
here's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly to you?
I know. I think about this, right? So, like,
See how you're scratching the back of your neck with,
with
your
an
left
itch.
hand?
Mm-hmm.
So that means in shamanism that you're holding on to a mental construct that you have created to be a reference point to validating that fear.
Okay.
Okay. So if we were to look at your reference points, some people use reference points from movies they've seen, such as Exorcist.
Totally. And that's the shit that's implanted, right? When I was a kid, like my parents did not censor me from anything. I was watching like Unsolved Mysteries, and my mom, who's like a hyper medium, is always watching ghost shows and shit. So it's all totally based on that reality. However,
No, it's not totally based on that reality.
or it's what I've
being
absorbed,
reinforced to that reality. Right now, you could speak something different. You could say,
Well, this is my thing.
see the hand gestures? See how you slam your hand down on the couch? That's just reinforcing it even more.
I know. So even with, for instance, manifestation, when
Yeah.
I used to, for instance, like speak something new into existence.
Yes.
And I think this is obviously like my own. I'm so on the energetic plane that I have to like truly. It has to be truly backed up energetically. So, like, even in my mind, and of course, this is something I'm speaking into reality, the speaking and the deciding from a conscious space never feels like enough to me.
Again, you're using words that curse you.
Okay.
So you're actually casting spells right now as you're speaking.
Yes.
So you're saying it never. So guess what? If I'm your ego, my job is to make sure that you accept the reality and narrative that you have written. Anything that goes in contrary or against that reality that you have written I have to defend. So my job is to go, okay, so, all right, everyone. So she said she will never be able to do that. So make sure we set up every situation so that never can happen.
Totally.
What else is she saying? She's saying that, she has to hold on to this narrative. Let's make sure she holds on to it by giving her more words that lock that narrative in through basically your spell casting.
Exactly.
In shamanism, if I say, I can never do that, right? Or here's a perfect example. Like I was living in New York City. I was in Dumbo before Dumbo became anything in New York City. I was living in this loft, the 1,700 square foot loft that I got there because I had a roommate. Her name was Petra and my friend Jeremy. And literally we're in this loft. And the way she set it up is that every weekend we had to turn the loft into an art gallery. So we had to pack up all our stuff into this storage unit that we had and put all our stuff in there and turn it into an art gallery. And then during the week, we would have it as our living space. Okay. And so I was just like, I was over it. I was done. So Jeremy's like, you need to do a spell, Durek. You need to do a spell and get her out of here. And so I was like, okay, let me get the spell stuff. I'll get it. We're going, whatever. So I'm sitting in front of a mirror, lighting up candles around me and doing the spell. And in the spell, I kept saying, whenever I do a spell for someone, I don't want to do it in a way because a lot of times I get into this place where people, I hear people go like, oh, I'm a Wicca witch. I'm a Wicca.
Totally.
I'm a white witch. Okay, first of all, the only reason why you're saying that is because you want people to think that you're not manipulating anything. We manipulate everything.
Every human does.
Every human does.
Yeah.
Life is a manipulation.
And animals.
Everything is being manipulated. Yeah. So let's get out of that narrative and that nonsense, and let's get into there is no such thing as black magic. There is no such thing as white magic. It's just magic, people,
totally.
Right? And it's how you choose to orchestrate it from your intention and from how you're operating it. So I basically said, I want her to meet the person in her life that brings her the highest level of love, joy, freedom, elation, and bliss. And that by the turning of the next moon, she'll meet this person and she'll be out and I will have this place and no one will ever be able to take it away from me. Well, turning of the moon, I'm coming back from Manhattan, just got off the train, walking York Street stop, walking down the street, getting to the loft, going up to the 8th floor, which is where our loft was at. And she comes in, I see her, and she's like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, what's going on? And she's like, I met the most amazing guy this weekend. We hit it off. We started laughing. He wants me to move in. He's so loving. He's so nurturing. I feel like this is the one. And I can't believe this is happening. And I was like, well, you can believe it's happening. She's like, okay, I can believe it's happening. She's like, but I feel bad because then I have to leave the loft and you guys will have to take it on, but I won't be able to do the art galleries here anymore. And I go, no, it's okay. You'll figure it out. It's good. So me and Jeremy were like, yes, right? So we like made it our space and we turned it into like a place for people to do like meditations and healing. And we had like DJs come in and we'd serve like beer and have like $5 cups to pay for the rent. And we were living it like that. Then the cold came. And this pipes froze in the building and we couldn't get heat in our place. And it got so bad that we were literally sleeping in 5-6 jackets and freezing. I was getting frostbite on my fingers. It was really, really bad. So I wanted to get rid of it. So I started showing it to people and every person who came in loved it. Cause me and him built the kitchen up. We built everything in it to make it look like super duper, like amazing. You could see the Statue of Liberty. You could see the Twin Towers. It was phenomenal. The thing is, every person I showed it to, I wanted to move out for them to take it, loved it, and then changed their mind. And my mom said to me, I was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. I can't get rid of this place. She goes, honey, you did a spell on this place, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, what exactly were your words? And she goes, recite your words back to me that you said. And I said, okay. I said, well, I want her to meet this person who's going to bring love, da, 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 da. I said, and then I said, no, after she leaves, no one will ever be able to take it away from me. She goes, stop. Go back. What did you say? No one will ever be able to take it away from you. She's like, honey, you casted a spell on yourself and you have to wait for the spell to get weakened. And it could take 6 months, could take a year, could take 2 years, could take 3 years. We don't know. You have to do a reverse spell and put your energy that the spell time of how weak it's going to become is going to be short. So it took 6 months for the spell to be broken. I was trapped with that place for 6 months in suffering and anguish. And it was crazy. So the reason why I say this is that a lot of the reasons why people have things in their life that shows up or they don't see certain things show up is because they're using spells. They forget, they think spells are only for like shamans and witches and people. No, you are a walking embodiment of creation. You are a quantum creator. Everything that comes out of your mouth is qualified by your ego and then sent over to be amplified by source and then created into the world to bring in all the characters that match your narrative. So if you keep reinforcing your narrative and keep saying, I can't, it's hard, it never, these words, these things, these are poisonous words to use because these words entrap you. And we can't have entrapment today. We need to be open data, open free space so that we're able to use words that shift and lift and reach higher possibilities. Words that have keys that open doors that lead to the most amazingness that you could imagine, right? So what I'm saying is that the idea that you're holding on to, if I put you into the court of the spiritual court, okay, and I'm the judge in the spiritual court, state your case. Please state your case. What is the case you have today? Lacey, your case is that you are holding on to a narrative of these scary images of things you saw as a kid. Can you put your common sense on it and dismantle it and call it bullshit? Or do you want to continue to have these narratives play out to you and dictate to you what's possible?
So with that said, like with this, when, for instance, I'll give you an example recently, when I say, even using words that like loving you away and all of that stuff, and I can feel presence around, mentally, I'm still believing in those narratives. But
yeah, because you haven't debunked those narratives.
You got it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where like my mind, like the words, I totally understand what you're saying, but when my mind is still believing in those, how do I align these? Like, where's that tool?
Well, first of all, let's just see what you're doing. I need to run a scan on you.
Please, thank you.
Like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you anymore. Okay, grandmother, what is she doing exactly? They said Lacey has a fear of dealing with the responsibility of helping these spirits to the light.
That's it. I'm going to cry because I can't stand it.
So what is she doing because of that? My grandmother said you're making excuses to say it's this or that or this thing or that thing or that thing. And you're doing it to basically say this is the reason why I can't do this. And so it's a deliberate manipulation onto yourself. It's a stubbornness of not wanting to assist them. Why does she have to assist them? Does she have to assist them?
Do I have to?
No, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, my grandmother says. So then why is it happening to her? They said because you were a high priestess in another lifetime, and you have chosen in this lifetime to reach full enlightenment, so you don't have to come back to this planet again. So you've been given access to those gifts to be able to be open to the frequencies. You don't have to respond to it. You choose to respond to it, and it's your choice if you want to or not.
So I totally know all of that is 100% accurate. But this is how I feel, Shaman Durek, is like, I'm so fucking exhausted, like energetically helping thousands of people around the world, that like that extra presence and that extra energy, like it's just too, it's like I feel like it's too much for me.
Let me take a look. Did you hear what she said, grandmother? Go ahead. Yeah, got it. Okay, got it. Okay, so this came from Angel Michael, not my grandmother, but Angel
who I work with every time a spirit's around.
Angel Michael said that, let me just repeat. Go ahead, can you say it again, please? Angel Michael's been supporting you since you were a little girl and says that you are always doing things to put yourself into a challenge so you feel alive and exuberant from the energy of that challenge. The moment you decide that your value and what you're doing does not need to be at that high level that you're putting yourself at, is the moment you begin to start preserving and taking care of yourself in a much more loving and nurturing way. That you don't have to be pulled all over the world from all these people. You are choosing to be pulled all over the world from these people because there's a part of you that can't stand the suffering, the violence, the hurt,
Totally.
the intolerance, and all of that. And so you have a difficulty sleeping and knowing that exists and thinking that you're not doing everything you can to eliminate it. Angel Michael says that when you change your perception and understanding, that you have to make sure that you are given all the sustenance and support that you need, and you don't have to create that guilt. The reason why you're creating it is because you're underneath the Maya, not above it. When you decide to go above the Maya, you will not be affected by all of those energies. When you stay lower the Maya, meaning in that muck and energy, you're feeling it constantly because of your empathic energies. And Angel Michael says that you don't use wards, mean protection amulets and things, to balance out the energy frequencies that are coming at you and bombarding your energy daily. So you've been hiding out in nature and using that as a way to create reservation for yourself, instead of learning how to co-adapt in being able to be in any circumstance and situation and still be able to maintain a level of groundedness and energy that allows you to feel sustenance without being drained, tired, or completely out of sorts.
And what's the Mayan? So I understand.
Maya is
Maya.
energy frequency distortion. So it means that chaos, war, people suffering, people's pain, all the gossip, this thing, that thing, media, blah, blah, blah. It creates a static film, right? And so for me, I don't live under the Maya. I live above the Maya.
How the fuck do you live above it?
You just go there.
Okay.
Watch. Put your finger in the middle of your hand. Good. And say, I activate my ability to transfer myself into other dimensional fields. I lift myself above the Maya. Now.
I mean, I definitely feel something in my chest.
Good. I'm actually going to increase it for you because you tend to play games with your power. So I'm just going to go ahead and increase it for you. Okay. Spirit, go ahead and create a frequency inside of her body that creates a charge inside of her system now. Good. And then accelerate that frequency from the spirit world inside of her body to pull out any energies out of her mouth and throat, a purge frequency and a cleansing frequency of any Maya or any stagnant energy she's picked up from people or from being underneath the Maya field, and release it out of her mouth and throat. Accelerate the frequency to begin swallowing it through her mouth and throat and continue to bring it out of her system. Good. And turn up that frequency to 5,000 and keep pulling it out, and then create another frequency in her body of magnetic energy to use a magnetic field to pull the stuff out of her body. And create another frequency in her body to accelerate it even more. There it is in her throat. Good. And then accelerate it even more. Nice. I speak directly to the spirit inside of Lacey. If you're there, if you can hear me, go ahead and swallow her throat. Thank you. Good. So you have the power to lift her above the Maya, don't you? If that's a yes, swallow her throat. And does she choose to stay in the Maya field because she doesn't want to abandon anyone or feel like she's not in it? If the answer is yes, swallow her throat. Okay, good. And so can you start to release the energy that she's been anchoring herself in underneath the Maya field and begin to release it out of her breath? If that's a yes, swallow her throat. Okay. And can you do that now and begin releasing it out of her system? And can you take her up above the Maya field? If that's a yes, swallow her throat and accelerate her oxygen levels and increase her breath. Good. We have liftoff.
We're good? That's awesome.
How does that feel?
I mean, I feel chill.
Yeah. And do you see how you don't feel these disturbances of energy?
Yeah. I think, yeah. I'm going to say yes because I'm committing to it.
You don't have to commit to it unless you feel it, because we want realness. We don't want fakeness. Notice your energy.
I mean, I definitely feel more cloudy-like in the clouds, kind of, like
right.
peaceful.
Now, say, take me up higher.
Take me up higher.
And make me lighter in my body.
And make me lighter in my body. Yeah.
You see, once you're above the Maya field, you can go as high as you want. It's those who are below the Maya field are the ones who suffer, because they're taking in all of the empathic frequencies of distortion that they're being affected by if they're a person who's open to those energies. Mm-hmm. Someone like you needs to stay above the Maya field So that way you're not taking those energies on and you can actually function and get things done without thinking, I'm not doing enough. Is it good enough? Are people getting it? Is it this? Is it that? Because you're going into that state of feeling everything they're going through while wanting to create. How can you create and feel the suffering at the same time? It's better that you go above the Maya field, create, and then come back down, feel it so you can go, okay, this is what they need. Go back up above the Maya field and create. That's going to support
when
you.
I want to oscillate between the two,
Watch.
same
Say,
thing.
bring me back underneath the Maya
No,
field.
I don't want to go back yet.
Okay, okay.
I'm good. I'm fucking good for now. That's why I had to stop taking clients. It's just too much. It's too much.
I get it. I mean, you can see it.
Okay, cool. So if I feel like I'm below it, I just do the same thing.
Put your hand put your finger in the center of your hand, right, on your left hand, and simply say, watch, you can even do this. Say, bring relaxation over my body. Keep your finger in the center of your hand. Say, bring relaxation over my body.
Bring relaxation over my body. I mean, yeah, it's for sure. It feels amazing.
See?
And anytime this is activated.
Yeah. So your left hand basically is the hand that when you bring these 2 points together, it literally holds your command.
Wow.
So it's really powerful in shamanism when we want to actually bring command to the elemental frequencies or the universe. We put our finger in the center of our hand and we basically say what we need.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It's a remote.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Your whole body has points all over it that activate as frequency remotes, energy channels, and all kinds of beautiful things.
That's incredible. I feel amazing right now.
Yeah.
Like all in my heart.
Yeah. And watch
really
this.
good.
Go like this. Put your hand there. Say, from my feet to the top of my head. Go ahead.
From my feet to the top of my head.
Create a high-powered surge.
Create a high-powered surge.
Of unconditional love.
Of unconditional love.
Air.
Air.
Wind. And freedom.
And freedom. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And it's just my heart. It's all heart. Wow. I have one last selfish thing and then we're going to go back into others.
That's fine.
Because you guys got to hear a little bit of, I mean, you just got to witness that, but Shaman Durek diagnosing last time. But I have a question for you, Shaman Durek.
Yes, of course.
I've begun charting fertility-wise because obviously I've been working towards that forever. And in charting, it shows that my temperature is like always beneath 97. And so that's like alluded to hypothyroidism, which can be very tricky physically, fertility. But I want your diagnostic to see if that's true.
So I'm quickly interrupting this episode to invite you, if you're ready to start your manifestation journey, or if anything you've heard in our manifestation episodes has piqued your interest to begin. We have a la carte workshops in everything from the basics bundle, which is what we recommend to everyone who starts. It's the formula that actually teaches you how to manifest, unblocked inner child, and unblocked shadow. We also have a la carte workshops on love and money. But the real gem is the Pathway membership because it encompasses every single workshop we have. It's a year-long membership with full access to the few a la carte offerings we have and exclusive workshops not available anywhere else, such as the daily practice, which is what everybody in the Pathway uses, hopefully at least 3 times a week to daily in order to truly create the new neural pathways that one needs in order to manifest, and houses the library of our deep imaginings, which is our unique hypnosis process that allows you to get into your subconscious and overwrite those old neural pathways, creating the new ones. You can use our special code, EXPANDED, all caps, EXPANDED, to receive $20 off your first a la carte workshop purchase or $20 off your first month of the Pathway. Again, that's all caps, EXPANDED, EXPANDED. Okay, now back to the episode.
Take a look. Pull up her scan chart on her body. Your inflammation levels are pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
They're high. I'm not gonna pretend that it's not. I'm gonna take a look at what's causing that. Show me the causal reaction of why that inflammation is high. You have anxiety that's causing the inflammation levels to go high. Anxiety is affecting your liver and spleen.
Mm-hmm.
that's causing your inflammation levels to go high. You have constriction of the lateral upper left side of the neck near the sternocleidomastoid and upper trapezius,
I do.
which is also reflecting to a discomfort, which is causing inflammation in the body.
It's from a car accident.
It's unresolved because it's moving into the scapula, which is affecting the lower back. Again, creating an uncomfortableness in the body. Let's take a look at pattern exchanges. Your pattern exchanges of not letting it go is really betrayal issues. It's centered around the idea of people not taking responsibility for how they're affecting the earth, and this is causing a pattern of frustration inside of you, which needs to be justified out of the field of needing to be right about like what are people doing and how could they do this, to people are waking up and recognizing what they're doing and changes are being made. So shifting the polarity out of the lesser into the greater, which will then begin to release that part inside of you that you've been holding on to. Opening up a chain frequency in your spines. That looks fine. That's good. The thyroid. Let's take a look at your thyroid. Not really intense. Small levels of inflammational distortions in your thyroid. A lot of it, again, is based upon stress, anxiety, and how your hormones are operating. You see, your body and your endocrine system is saying that it goes off kilter when you create anxiety and the need to constantly ride yourself. There has to be more inner child time, more joy time, more pleasure time, more anything that brings, like, you got to wake up every day and follow bliss, follow pleasure. And if it's not pleasurable, you don't do it. You move on to the thing that's pleasurable. Your body needs you to start creating strong markers of pleasure and joy instead of making everything a task and structured and boxed and rigid. This is causing inflammation in the body that's affecting the upper thyroid. It's also affecting the way your breath and your lungs are expanding and decreasing. Inhale and your exhale needs to be opened more. Let's take a look. Vascular system looks good. Your veins, circulation's a bit slow. You need to up your circulation in your body, especially around your legs and your lower, below your pelvic region. Again, this minor corrections can be easily shifted, needing like putting a blood cleanser, doing something like some dandelion root with ginger would be really good. So you get like a nice antispasmatic, and then you get some warmer in your body, which warms the blood to get it to flow, which is really nice, but not too warm for you, just so you know, just a nice balance. You have to be in a balance. Too hot can actually not be good for you. And it will make you irritable. Let's take a look. If she makes these corrections with the inflammation, inflammation levels go down when you make these corrections. They go down to a level that's very necessary for your ovaries and for your body. Looks like your endocrine system becomes more balanced when you actually make those shifts. What are the mental thoughts that are going through? Mental thoughts is not trusting your team 100%.
Beyond.
Mental level is I need to bird manage everything, which is basically hawk, like the hawk that's too close to the earth instead of being free to be up there and observe everything, but from a place of micromanaging every little detail to make sure it's happened, almost second guessing it to make sure it happened, to the point of like going over it again, even to the point of checking it again to see if it's getting executed, is creating stress because you're not feeling safe to say, okay, to your team members, hey, I trust and know that you'll be able to execute this. I don't need to go over it 1,000 times with you. I can move on and focus on like bringing more joy or getting a massage or taking time for myself to soak in a nice tub with some salt and some beautiful oils and, and really like replenish myself. The ongoing management aspect is creating an imbalance in the flux of your body, which is creating stagnation in your thinking process, which then affects your emotions, which then affects anxiety. So it raises the template of anxiety higher because of the fact you don't feel safe enough to let go. And then you've always put yourself in situations that it's showing here your mental disturbance is needing to do everything, not letting other people do it for you, not settling or sinking in, relaxing, surrendering, allowing yourself to be a catalyst for exchange. not wanting people to put you in a situation you don't want to be in. Therefore, I'm going into the space of I have to be on top of it all the time, every time. I have to be on every time. Creates a distortion pattern of 6.8 in your body, which is a high distortion level, which affects the way in which your stomach digests food. So when your body's digesting food, your body starts getting blocked up. So then you all of a sudden feel like, how come I don't feel hungry all of a sudden? Because your body is trying to tell you that you're creating too much heat in your abdomen because of you not letting yourself like trust in your environment to take care of you instead of you micromanaging your environment to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
true.
more alignment than hustle, my dear.
It's absolutely. What the team's here, half of it. What do we do to be better?
Well, I think one thing that would be great is to create sections like you're the blue team, you're the red team, you're the green team. Nothing comes to me unless it's really important. Trusting your team, because if you can't trust your team to execute certain things and do certain things, then you're never going to be able to go even further without burning yourself out, right? So the quality, and then also too is like holding on to things, right? Because your two team members who are in front of me right now, they harbor things inside. And I ran a scan through their body as I was looking at like how you're affecting. They need to feel the trust too and the empowerment that they can actually execute things, that you believe in them to do it without you feeling, because every time you micromanage them in that way, it belittles them and makes them feel small. And then they feel like, oh my God, mommy's getting mad at me. Right. And so it creates this distortion, and that distortion then creates more stress for you.
Totally.
Because then they're not feeling empowered. And if they don't feel empowered, they will make a mistake just to make you right. Right. And we don't need self-fulfilling prophecies to take place in the work area.
I mean, beyond.
Yeah. And then also doing team stuff together, like go have a spa day together, go do like something where you guys do something like like a painting course or a clay course or something where you can like take a cooking course and just let yourself blow off some steam and be little girls and have fun and realize that you're serving a greater purpose through the love and devotion that you have to the greater populace of people on the planet who get to benefit from your podcast and from all the things in your letter, all the things that you do. Everyone gets to benefit from, but you also have to benefit from it as well too.
Totally. I mean, yeah, you just nailed everything to a T. We all. I think we're all well aware of everything you just said. It's totally true. Absolutely true. Okay, great. So that's stuff to work on.
Not work on.
Do.
Love on.
Love on. Love on. Love on. Not work on. Love on.
Yeah, because work on sounds like slavery to the brain. So the part of the mind that has ancestral lineages that go back way into slavery are still a part of your RNA, right? So when you make cue markers like I have to work on it, there's a part of your being that's like, oh God, another thing to work on, right? But if you go like I get to love into it, I get to feel it with love, I get to express it with love, I get to dance with it, I get to play with it, I get to observe it, I get to like experience it and like, and like tinker with it, you're looking at it from a different point and you're creating a different narrative of how you actually go about doing it.
Okay, I love that. That's a good adjustment for everybody. Thank you for everything.
Of course, yeah.
All right. Okay, now let's get into the book.
Yeah.
2 exercises that people could really benefit from at home, and tell us more about the book.
I think 2 exercises that people could benefit from at home is to lay on the ground, completely on the ground, and make sure you take off all your clothes so you're completely naked, and basically say these words out loud. I ask permission to feel myself. That's what you would do.
Okay.
So you say, I ask permission to feel myself, and breathe. And then you say it again. I ask permission to feel myself, and then breathe. I ask permission to feel myself, and breathe. And notice what sensations you start to feel in your body. Some people will do this exercise and it can heal traumas that's been sitting there for a long time. Some of it could be like you changing the way you interact in relationships, because when you are in a nude state, you're already in a vulnerable state. We always associate no clothes with being vulnerable. It's really interesting how we've kind of categorized that on our planet, right?
Totally.
And then the idea of asking permission to feel yourself is that you're literally asking permission to yourself to feel yourself. So what happens is it expands your conscious awareness around your body, through your body, and envelops every aspect of your body. So all of a sudden your consciousness now begins to observe your body in ways that it wouldn't observe it if it was like dealing with like, what's going on in your Instagram, or like what kind of things you're choosing to get done during the day, or like whatever these extra activities that you've built up for yourself in your life to maintain the functioning process of your life. In this process, in this exercise, it literally expands your consciousness and makes you aware of shifting things very quickly in your life, then holding on to them. So when a lot of my students do that, they're like, whoa, like I had no idea that I had an issue with money. I had no idea that I was like afraid of love. I had no idea that all these things, and then what it does, it just purges it out of you.
Wow.
And you just have to breathe, and you say it, you feel. And then when the feeling comes up, you say, I feel this in this part of my body. I felt a tingling in my leg. I felt this and this and that. And then you get to decide how much do you want to go into it. And then you go say it again and you do it again. And it's a very powerful self-awareness exercise.
I love that. Tell us the whole ins and outs of the book.
So the ins and outs of the books. Okay. So the book is basically bits and pieces of things that I've gone through in my life, to being who I am, Shaman Durek. But I don't make the book about me. The book is about literally keeping you lit through what's happening right now as we're navigating this very tumultuous time in our existence on Earth, and also this very transformative time. Because the tumultuous time aspect is how we relate to all of the things that are showing up. The transformative time is that when we relate to it and we have the tools to understand what's happening, so we're not being afflicted by it, or we're feeling attacked by it, or we're reacting to it. So the book basically goes and talks about all the things that we've been doing and how we can correct all of these imbalances. Everything from, one of my chapters is don't fuck with the nature codes, right? And we talk about like, modifying food and how we, and why allergies and all of these things are so pronounced now than they were back then, because we keep fucking with the nature code. Then we have a chapter in there called Fear, the Feminine Factor. And the Feminine Factor is basically about women, and it's about not just women, but also the femininity of women, and like how do men operate in their consciousness versus how do women operate, and that men and women are not equal, and how do we hold space for women to maintain that space of being a woman when they're being told all the time to remove themselves from that space, right? And then being able to understand, like one of my chapters is like, lady, you're not a dude. Like, dude, you're a lady. Dude, you're a lady. It's like women don't have to take on the masculine energy in order to create experience in this world. And like actually honoring and embracing their feminine energy is far more powerful than the masculine undertaking that they would take on. Right?
I think it's much harder for myself, who's like deeply in my masculine. I think it's much harder, in fact, to really own that feminine energy and feel like you're going to be abundant and secure in it and not be fucked with in it.
Right, but that's because you have associated a part of the feminine energy as being weak, as according to the masculine understanding of the patriotic understanding that has been indoctrinated to people on Earth. So I talk about that in the book, and I talk about the feminine factor. I talk about how women operate in quantum field, how men operate in linear field, and how we can both support one another, and how we can grow and heal through all of this pain and that we're going through. So we talk about that. I talk about everything from understanding your connecting with your ancestors, building an ancestral altar. How do you tap into your powers? And then throughout the book, there's all these spirit hacks on how to do all these different hacks, like I just taught you, right? To make shifts and change in things very quickly in your life. No one wants to spend their life in therapy. Like, that's not fun. Like, you come to Earth
also,
to be in therapy.
Very expensive.
And very expensive. But you could be taking a trip to like all these amazing places in the world. Totally. There's so many beautiful, luscious places that you haven't even got a chance to partake of and sample the amazing food and the nightlife and the day life and all of it, and just a good life and get life. And so all of that, the book is about gearing you for all of that. So, there's so many chapters. There's one chapter, it's, your power is not found in the side of a milk carton, and it's talking about like owning your power now and how do you do that? And then like the other one is like, there is no such thing as the now. Like we talk about that. I talk about understanding that the whole Eckhart Tolle theory of the power of now is not real. It doesn't exist. It's a made up delusion that we go into to create a focus. But if we look at the reality of nature and the universe, everything is in constant flux. And if everything's in constant flux, you need to learn how to ride that flux. If you don't know how to ride that flux, you don't know how to manifest really well, right? And so a lot of times when people get stuck in the now, they don't understand there's no such thing as the now. You're just saying it that is, but it doesn't really exist. It's actually going in flux. So if you learn to ride the flux and you understand how every time you say something, it becomes the past, and then the past becomes your next now, and then that next now becomes the past, and your past becomes your next now, you then begin to understand the field of quantum energy, and then you actually begin to manifest bigger, greater, and faster in your life than waiting for something to manifest. For like when a woman comes to me and says like, when am I going to meet the one? Well, we can make that happen very quickly if you know how to ride the flux. But if you keep going into this like, I got to be focused on the now and you're just creating your own delusionment in a system that's already running perfectly without your need to change it because you change your way of choosing to see it.
This is also such a projector insight. I feel like such a projector advantage being able to see that, because most people, I don't feel like they can see through that as clearly. I mean, this is amazing. And where can we find the book?
You can get the book at Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, any place where books are available. And it's also worldwide. So we are launching in America. We're launching in London. We're launching in Norway. We're launching in Denmark, Spain, Germany. And we're still waiting for some others like Turkey and I think Ireland and some other places that are getting into it.
And do we have any in-person events we can see you at anytime soon?
Let's see. What events do I have coming up? I have an event that's coming up in London where I'm going to be speaking at the Health Optimization Summit, which with Dave Asprey and some amazing doctors and amazing biohacking people. It's going to be breathtaking. Plus, I have a lot of workshops coming up in London. And then I'm also doing the Vitality Festival in Ireland, which is coming up, which I'm going to be headlining there as well. And then I'm also doing Attune, which is in November, which is going to be in Atlanta, which is going to be amazing, which I'm doing it with Dr. Joe Dispenza and some amazing, wonderful people that I'm going to be doing that with. And then other than that, I'm going to be doing a webinar that's coming up, but I think that's going to be happening within a week. And that's coming up. Me and Princess Marta are doing a webinar where we're going to be people can ask us questions and we're going to be answering questions. One thing I love about my girlfriend, by the way, is that she's the first of the monarchy to come out of the closet and say she speaks to angels.
So yeah, I was going to ask, what are her gifts?
Oh, she's amazing. Like, first of all, one of the things I love about being in a relationship with her is the fact that I can't get away with shit. And it's also great because we model to other couples the way couples should interact with each other. Like, I don't believe in playing power games with my woman, you know? Like, it's not even necessary to play this game of like who's right. And like, if she's upset with something, I don't get defensive. I just sit and listen and hear her and take responsibility, which means show up with love. Like, and what I find, and this is something I wanted to share, what I find in relationships, which has been very interesting because I've had really dysfunctional relationships in the past, and by me getting to a place of non-compromise is when she actually walked into my life.
Wow.
And what I notice in relationships, and this also goes for guys and also for girls who are listening, when a couple gets into a fight, the first thing that happens is whoever is getting hurt, like, so let me just give it to you from a male perspective. If a woman gets hurt by something that a man says, the man's responsibility is to realize that the very thing that they're arguing about or upset about has nothing to do with her. And it always has to do with him. And so whenever Princess Marta, being cordial and being right, whenever Princess Marta gets upset with me or yells at me or whatever, or something, I listen. But whenever I get upset with something, I stop and I go, I need to go in and look at what triggered me, and then look at the trigger and then begin the healing process inside, and then come out and take responsibility for the fact that I snapped at her or said something rude to her, and say, I'm sorry, because this was me, and this is what I just worked on in myself, or say love on. Thank you guys for correcting that. Love on within myself, and that has given me the ability to come forth and acknowledge. And so what that does is it closes the wound. But what happens in most relationships is that doesn't happen. So the wound stays open.
Totally.
And then they do it again, and the wound opens, it reignites the wound, and the wound stays open. And so now, every time they open their mouth, you're ready to fight with them and defend yourself and hide, and because you're already wounded and you haven't healed any of those wounds. And so you're just keep reacting from those wounds. You're never really reacting from the real issue.
Totally.
So I think that, you know, like one of the things that we demonstrate in our relationship is that, you know, she could be right about something, I could be right about something, but we don't look at it from a right perspective. We look at it is what is the best information for us to evolve from? So we just leave it up in the air. Like if she disagrees with something and I disagree with something, we don't go like, I'm going to fight you on this disagreement. We just go, okay, let's leave it up in the air. And then let's go about our day and our week and our month, and let's see which one drops.
Totally.
And the one that falls is the one that's the information that is necessary. And sometimes I'll go to her and be like, honey, you were totally right. I'm so glad that dropped. It made total sense. I had time to think about it. Or she'll be like, honey, you were totally right about that. It totally dropped. It made sense to me. You know, I got it. And like move on from that. Like we spend too much time playing power games. And if you're in a relationship, and one thing I other in a relationship is that you have to be sexually compatible.
Totally.
And I say this to people all the time because I'm very sexually compatible to my girlfriend. I have a huge sexual appetite because
You're a Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio. I'm a quadruple Scorpio.
Jesus Christ.
Right? So I'm talking like it needs to be 3 or 4 times a day.
Whoa.
And I'm happy, you know, because I'll just love to be in that energy, you know. And other relationships that I've been with, they're like once a week, once a month, you know. That's not compatible. If you go into a relationship and you're not sexually compatible, you should already just be aware, like right there, you're compromising. If you compromise your sexual compatibleness, that could be the thing that will ruin your relationship.
Totally.
If you compromise the fact, like for instance, I love my sticker books, I love my action figures, I love my video games, as my assistant who's here is smiling at me because I love my video games. And anyone who knows me, come to my house, I'm play video games, you know, and my whole team, we play video games. And you know, I love being a kid. I love going to escape rooms. I love, you know, going to water slide parks. I love watching cartoons. I love like doing art. I love, you know, all of it. So if that is who I am, and I like to get up and drum around the house, if I want to like dance in my underwear and like listen to my country music or listen to hip hop, whatever it may be that I'm into at the moment, and someone has a problem with it, that right there, I have to ask myself, am I willing to still be me while they're having an issue with it? And if not, then that's me compromising again. And so I think that a lot of relationships suffer because they keep compromising and making excuses for their need to love themselves and see themselves, honor themselves. Because I feel like once you acknowledge yourself and you put yourself first, you're able to give to others, right? And so the overflow becomes this sustainable thing, not this thing that you have to keep maintaining. Most relationships are built on this maintenance where
Totally.
you don't need that much maintenance. Like enjoy your time with each other, have great conversations with each other, be inspired by each other, have great sex, you know, and be kids together and like and open up doorways for each other that you perhaps, you know, your mate has not seen that world or that understanding of whatever it is that you're sharing. And that's the great thing about the evolution of the relationship is that you share things that you know about that they don't know about and vice versa. And it becomes this beautiful kaleidoscope of energy and color and sound and dance and movement and freedom and play. And it just becomes this beautiful lens of love in which to project through out into the world. So I always say to people like, if you're in business with someone or you are, serving someone in a job situation or you're in a relationship, if you're not amplifying love into the world, then you have to go, you know? And the same thing to men, like men, if you are not satisfying your woman sexually, then go. Because it's so important for women in their orgasm to have healthy sex. It literally rejuvenates you. It stimulates you. It opens up so much power in your being. Why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to intimately connect with you?
Totally.
It makes no sense. So my whole thing is like for people to keep it simple. Stop making things convoluted, and that goes both in your spiritual and in your personal life. If you have to go into all of these like really elaborate thoughts, you're very far from the truth. The truth is the most simplest, like I always say, it's never about addition, it's always about subtraction.
Totally.
Right?
I
And so
believe that.
go to the simplest form. Like look for what's simple and go to it. And that's what my book is about. Like spirit hacking is about using simplicity as a way to generate your life differently from the way you've actually seen it. It doesn't need to be so difficult. People make things so difficult. They're like, oh, I can't speak to my guides. I was in a friend's house last night. I helped one of my buddies who's a big Hollywood actor speak to his guides in less than 3 minutes just by showing him a spirit hack. And once he did it, he had full-on conversation with the spirit guides, with the angels. He was in like, and this guy's like doesn't usually believe in that,
Totally.
you know? And it's simple. Why are we convoluted? Why are we making it difficult so that our ego can say, oh my God, I went through all this. I went through all these workshops. I went through all these things. And now I deserve to be spiritual. Like I've done all these things and now I should have enlightenment. No, like you can have enlightenment on the toilet. You can have enlightenment in the shower. You can have enlightenment just waking up in the morning in your bed and all of a sudden get hit with the biggest aha from the universe.
Totally.
And like, and what I call lit rocking, and just start lit rocking. And lit rocking means making things happen with your lit energy, which is light intelligence energy, right? That's lit to me. It's like light intelligence. Love, energy that is held in the field of unconditional love and acceptance, playfulness, acknowledgement, and understanding that everything you do is not for you, but it's for everyone.
I love that. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. There's so much people are going to extract from this. I'm literally being like processing over here. I'm like, I have to re-listen to this. Well, I'm so grateful you came back, and we have to have you back again. Shaman Durek, is there any, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When we were about to buy this house, there was this one moment in between awake and asleep that I saw an animal. I've never seen this before. And like, even as we know, spirits don't present themselves to me because I've obviously been closed off from that.
Yeah.
But it was this animal that was like a squirrel and a monkey mixed, and it was very much attached to this house. And I was like, oh, holy shit, you're a part of this house. You're living, or you're like on the grounds or something. What is that? It presented to after I got here, and it was only between like awake and asleep, that really, really subconscious place.
That you saw an animal?
Yeah, it kept like presenting itself.
Let me see what shows up. Run a scan on any animal spirits that are attached to this house. You know, I see. It's not a koala.
It's like a
a
mix.
marsupial. It's like a
More African, right?
yeah. It's an animal that has a tail that wraps around the trees.
Yeah.
And it has eyes, and it has like almost orangish colored eyes.
That's exactly it.
And it has a face, and it's sitting there. It's just sitting. Like,
what's its deal?
Holding it. Let me find out. Run a scan to communicate with animal. It's talking about the land being sacred.
Yeah, that's what another reader just said too. What is it? Happy that I'm here?
Let me find out.
Like, are we cool?
Here we go again.
I know shit. Like, I need to fuck.
Let's go. Bring the polarity over to the side. Is it happy? Is it evil?
Like, it is.
Has it
like,
come to destroy me?
No,
Will I wake
love.
up in the morning? Will it be closing my nose and suffocating me in my sleep?
I do actually know it's a good energy.
Let's
but
find out.
Why is it presenting?
Why are you presenting yourself here? It's asking you to rebirth the land.
So in terms of like regenerative, in terms of like farming.
Are you asking? Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it's asking for regenerative.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We have all intentions of that,
Like this,
so I'll let him know.
This place was connected to another place. This place, there was another house near here, like another dwelling. It was very close to here. It was like several. It was like not just this place, but there's like some level that goes down, and there's like other areas that it was connected to. It was like a bigger thing, but then it got separated.
Well, the land is an acre and has 7 parcels.
Okay, that's what, because it wasn't just in ownership of different people. It was like one thing.
Yeah.
And so then it was separated and divided out, like almost like I'll take this portion, they have this, and we'll put a boundary here and put a fence here and put this fence here and this kind of thing. But it was actually much more expanded. And there's a lot of spirits on this land.
There is. Yeah, she told me that too.
There's a woman, a very older woman, who is very much about nurturing the land. So there's different, and I think she is coming from either like somewhere, either not Indonesia, but either like Australia or Africa or something, like in between these places where this animal exists.
Yeah, because it's not native to the States, right? I've never seen this animal before.
No, it's not from here, no.
So spirits travel.
I know what it is. I see it. I just have to look it up and see its origin.
Yeah.
But wherever the origin is, that's where this woman is
Why
from.
do spirits, like, why would they come to this land then if they're not originally from here, out of curiosity?
Either their echo is here, or they put a lot of love and energy here.
So
like when you move into a house, you know, the couple could be in the house before you, could have been, you know, had such a connection to the home that they've left their echoes in the home. So their essences are in the walls and the floors and so forth. So I always tell people you should always like clean your floors with lavender and
Yeah.
spray lemon and wash your home, like clean up your
Yeah.
house, rosemary is always wonderful for that. But the thing is that when we get into understanding, like sometimes the spirit will come back because it wants you to do something for the land, because it has so much love for it. It wants you to have the same kind of love for it.
I do.
And that's what I feel that it is. I don't feel like it's anything malicious.
Not at all.
When I tune in, I hear this woman talking to me, and she's saying like her family was here and all this kind of stuff, and like take care of the land, and there's some beautiful trees that are like very powerful, like, and she's showing me like where they're at, and she's like telling me about like the nature of the land and what it needs and all this kind of stuff.
Is there anything I need to know further?
Is there anything
We have total
you need to
intention
know
of
as
doing
far as the land is concerned?
Because we're about to landscape.
So let me see. Is there anything you need? She's mentioning that the land is dry.
It's
really
very
dry in about 3.
so
and
dry.
she's saying that the land needs to be rebirthed.
Okay.
It needs to be upturned. You need to upturn the grounds.
Okay.
Also, you need to look into your piping.
Yeah.
She's saying something about the pipes as well too.
They're all galvanized. We're redoing them all.
She said like there's
Poison.
a thing on it that's leaking, like this kind of it's a toxin.
Okay.
Not poison. She didn't use the word poison. She said toxin, that you need to change out the pipes. They're like turning a greenish kind of like, it's not good. Let's put it that way. It needs to be shifted. And then you also need to do some stuff on the roofing. There's some areas she's mentioning, like there's certain like underneath, you're going to like things that you need to change that need to be pulled out and rebuilt up and stuff like that. And oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah. So, anything else? She said, and also the land does really well with like berries and things that grow on vines, but the earth is too dry. She said you have to break the earth.
Yeah, we're literally putting mulch and everything.
Yeah, and you have to reestablish it. And then she said the sun moves in a circle. So follow the sun when you plant everything, she said, because it moves. She said it spirals like a crescent moon.
Wow.
She's like, it's like a crescent. It moves like a crescent. So to create kind of your garden in that way.
I love that. Okay.
But she's here. Like she's here anytime you need. Like she says, you have the ability to talk to her and stuff, and sometimes you feel her. She said there's one time you came here, and it was like right before you bought it. She said you came here and you just stood there with your hands on your sides, and you were like staring out at the nature or whatever. And she was standing right next to you, and you felt her, and she was like there, and you felt this energy come into you. She said she's the one who sent that energy to you.
Well, thank you. Look at, I still get freaked out. I have so much work after this episode, Shaman.
I'm around.
You're still doing sessions though too for people, right?
I do, yeah. I do one-on-ones.
Great. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of calls after this.
I like one-on-ones. I know I'm going to have to phase it out eventually, but right now I like it, and it brings me joy to really, because I'm not really doing this session. No one's really coming to see me. They're only coming to see themselves. I'm just creating a container of unconditional love
and tools
and throwing all these amazing tools, because I'm not really into the regurgitated stuff I hear spiritually, like chakras, this thing, that thing. It's like crystals. Okay, great.
Same.
But like, let's talk about creating like a crystal grid and sitting in the center of that crystal grid and activating codes on that crystal grid and changing frequency dimensions. And so I'm more into like, I'm like the shaman who also is the ET, who is like the mixture of the two. That's why I created spirit hacking, because it's one part shamanism, it's one part kinesiology, it's one part quantum physics, and it's another part psychology. And it's bringing all of it together so that you're not just getting healed on like one level. You're operating in your physical, your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual. So you become more what I call spiritually mature. We say your spiritual body has immunity, so that you're not affected by these small, tiny frequencies that really distort people over like really tiny things that are like it's like a waste of energy. You're actually more ingrained in creating a solution for the pollution instead of creating pollution on top of pollution. Which is like a really big deal. Like people will be like, "Oh my God, the waters are dirty." I'm like, "Great, you just created pollution on pollution." Anything else? Anything else you want to say?
It gets back to the theme of the show, man.
Yeah.
Is really like, where are you directing your energy? What are you committing to your reality being?
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Are you like literally calling out more of the darkness? but are you bringing a solution? Like if you're going to talk about your gossip on tables or dinner or lunch, whatever, talk about it, but then talk about solutions, right? Like don't just talk about stuff just to complain or talk about, because complaining is draining and we know that.
Yeah.
But like talk about things, but then bring solution to the pollution. And that's how we actually create change. It's like when we actually recognize that we can bring that solution to the pollution. But if we keep bringing pollution to the pollution, things are going to spiral more and more out on our planet. And we're going to have much more density to deal with in such a short amount of time with all the possibilities of cataclysmic changes that will take place, because Gaia can only hold so much density in her field before she has to distribute it through earthquakes and floods and fires and all kinds of uncomfortable ordeals. So let's avoid that.
Boy, doesn't that already feel like a solution for people like me who can feel everything and don't feel empowered and being able, I mean, there you go. There's a tool right there. I mean, that's huge. Just putting that into action today and feels like such a relief. You know? It's incredible.
Yeah.
What tools are you using to fill yourself up and stay balanced right now?
So I use my tachyon rods.
Which everybody should know I bought, and they're incredible. Somehow they've gotten displaced through the remodel of the house, so I need to refine those. Where can people find them? And you have a code for a discount.
Yeah, so tachyonwellnesssedona.com/Shaman Durek. And, you know, I mean, like,
and the code is Shaman.
Yeah, the code is Shaman. Yeah.
Great.
And, you know, here's the thing with tachyon, right? Your body needs tachyon in order to raise your light frequencies in your system. Most people don't know that.
I can benefit from that immensely.
Right, because it's 0 point energy. And 0 point energy literally creates your body to, like, you know, to deal with inflammation. It limits, when you have tachyon energy in your body, your body doesn't develop cancer, because your body is operating on the subtle energy fields are all completely in sync. One of the biggest reasons why people suffer on our planet is because their frequency exchange is so distorted that the body can't maintain, because it gets all of its energy source through those frequencies. So your subtle energy field is your most important skin of your spiritual body. And most people don't realize that with the 5G and all of these different things happening, it creates disturbance waves within our frequency, whereas tachyon energy puts it back in order.
Is it just when you're holding, or after you've held, it's completely reassembled for you?
So basically, what happens is, so once you start connecting with the tachyon energy gets into your body. And so once tachyon energy it moves faster than the speed of light. So once it's in your body, you can actually access it at any given time. The more you bring it into your body, the more powerful you can become. I mean, I literally have a woman who had like pain in her body, used tachyon. I have a woman who had a kid who was having chronic nightmares, night terrors, tachyon rod under his pillow, no more, stopped. People who have anxiety, tachyon energy. I mean, I use it for everything. I use it like literally, I sleep with them in my hands. I get up, I bring them, I meditate with them. I mean, it's, I love everything tachyon.
And you said you have a tool. So once you purchase them with Shaman Durek's code, you have a tool for activating them.
I have a tool for, so what I figured out is that people were just using tachyon energy. But because I'm a shaman, I know that every energy is a conscious spirit.
And you can direct it.
And I can direct it. So I just basically was like, one day I was like, okay, well, if this is 0 point energy and this is energy moving faster speed of light, and every energy form that exists in nature and elements all are conscious, that like for instance, like the Sami people, right, in the Nordic cultures believe that everything has a spirit. So if everything has a spirit, you can interact with that spirit. So literally, I have taken that and communicated with the tachyon energy and said, tachyon spirit, do blah, 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 blah to my body, create this, do this. And
that's what I was missing out on.
Yeah, I'm going to show it to you actually when we're
I'm going to buy the big fucking ones
share.
after this.
Yeah, I'm going to show you it. And it's rad what it can do. And then I started developing all kinds of different things you can do with it, like exercise with it and build up certain energies. When you feel like negative thoughts are coming in, you can shift those negative thoughts. When you want to manifest money or manifest relation, like anything you want to manifest, you can use the tachyon energy to amplify it faster into the universe and more clear and concise. That means that any distorted frequency or pattern that was getting in the way of that manifestation gets completely dismissed and eliminated. And the tachyon energy absorbs all of it and then takes all the manifestation intention and energy and everything and blasts it out to the universe. That's how powerful tachyon energy is.
Incredible.
So that's one of my tools that I use. The other stuff that I do is I get up in the morning. I meditate. When I meditate, I do a lot of talking meditations to myself, and
Affirmations, you mean?
not affirmations because I don't like
I
affirmations.
don't either.
And because I always feel like when people create affirmations, it's just I don't know. It's so Louise Hayes. I'm just not
Something
into it.
just clicked for me. So when you're speaking something, as you were, showing me earlier, you're not just saying it like an affirmation, you're directing energy.
Yes,
Aha.
that's my point. That's my whole point.
That's an aha moment. Because, like, I'm really actually, I spent many years doing like the affirmation route, speaking things, not feeling negative feelings and all of that. It wasn't resulting in much, but I do notice a significant difference when it's coupled with belief, like actual true belief is aligning and giving that energy direction. That's what you're referring to.
Right. So what I do is I do what is called referencing energy from its core place. Like what you just said, I simplify it. So I'll show you how it looks. Thank you, Spirit, for accelerating my psychic abilities. Thank you for opening up doorways for me that I didn't see that are now opening. Thank you for bringing powerful energy into my body. Thank you for lifting and shifting my vibration. Thank you for bringing beautiful people into me. Thank you for allowing me to be open and sensitive to the energy frequencies of love and ride the current of love throughout the whole entire day. Like when I say thank you, it's the above as so below immediately becomes solidified because the idea of thank you means you're already acknowledging it, that it's happening. So therefore your consciousness has accepted that it's happened. Quantumly, it's already happening. And so go ahead, experience it.
Okay. So if I were to say like, thank you for allowing me to trust the team more and let go of everything because everything's working out just fine like it's supposed to be. Thank you for decreasing my anxiety that something's going to give like what happened last year in the middle of the year, which makes me fucking check everything that everybody does.
Right, but you don't have to say that story after.
Well, I'm just like explaining on the,
yes,
I'm giving a narrative. But if I'm saying that and dually while I'm doing it, it's like I'm giving direction rather than just saying,
You're literally doing like, there's this beautiful scripture in the Bible that I love, which is knock and the door shall open, ask and you shall receive. And it doesn't say like knock and perhaps the door will open if you beg loud enough, and ask and you shall receive. It doesn't say ask and perhaps you'll get it if you're a good person. It literally says just knock and the door shall open and ask and you shall receive. And there's a lot of beautiful scripture in all cultures and all religions and all spiritual belief systems and observances. And what we have to understand is that when you say thank you, literally when you say thank you, you're acknowledging the principle of source always being team you. Right? So like, go ahead, say thank you for the powerful energy I feel in my body right now.
Thank you for the powerful energy I feel in my body right now.
Thank you for accelerating my consciousness and expanding it throughout the room.
Thank you for accelerating my consciousness and expanding it throughout the room.
Thank you for increasing my intelligence and releasing dopamine in my brain.
Thank you for increasing my intelligence and releasing dopamine in my brain.
Thank you for downloading unconditional love and acceptance into my being.
Thank you for downloading unconditional love and acceptance into my being.
Thank you for allowing playfulness of my little girl inside of me.
Thank you for allowing playfulness of my little girl inside of me.
Thank you for making me laugh and feel joy right now.
Thank you for making me laugh and feel joy. That's funny. Right now.
Thank you for increasing that joy of laughter into my body right now.
Thank you for increasing that joy of laughter into my body right now.
Thank you for bringing the sparkle of light into my body right now.
Thank you for bringing the sparkle of light into my body right now.
Thank you for allowing me to feel good right now.
Thank you for allowing me to feel good right now.
Thank you for putting my mind in the right direction for harmony and peace right now.
Thank you for putting my mind in the right direction for harmony and peace right now.
Thank you for sending a wave of relaxation of unconditional love through my body right now.
Thank you for sending a wave of relaxation, unconditional love inside of my body right now. Question for you while
How
I'm
does
doing
that feel?
this. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
So there was one point I want to just clear this up for other people listening and myself included. when, for instance, the like playfulness in the little girl, and as I'm saying it, I'm giving direction, but then there's a part of me that comes up and doesn't trust that I can give over to that. What
Thank
then?
you for trust. Thank you for assisting me in trusting to give over to that.
Okay, so just really naming it and continuing the thanks. That's really beautiful. So that's your talking meditation in the morning.
Yeah, it's like just being in that complete grace of thankfulness, and that just opens up so much spiritual energy in my body, in my mind, in my spirit, and I just become super lit. And then I'm just like, I literally become this lit energy that just comes out of the room, and I mean, my team will tell you, I'm like exuberant, I get excited, I'm happy, I'm like, yeah, giving everyone hugs, and like, it's just because to be a lit rocker, you have to fill up your vessel with lit juice, and lit juice is everything that like just does exactly what you experience. It's literally everything that fills up your being with sustenance of life force, right? And that's how you drink the lit juice and ride the lit train and get lit rockin'. And that takes you to a whole level of greatness in your life.
I think we can end on that note. I mean, yes, that's incredible. All right. Well, thank you so much, Shaman Durek. I know that I'm going to be running out to get the book. I was supposed to receive it before this podcast, which I'm kind of different. I'm kind of actually excited that I didn't, because I feel like I would have maybe had some of the information you showed me today that people wouldn't have benefited from. So I'm actually way more excited to go open up and get those tools, and everything you said resonates so beautifully. So I don't think I have to sell you to the people. I think everyone's going to be fucking buying this book. Thank you so much. And
it's a pleasure.
Wishing everybody a beautiful weekend.
Thank you so much for tuning into the episode, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, we did. And in case you're not totally ready to join the pathway yet, I wanted to share a few of our free offerings that I'll often suggest to people as a little bit of a blueprint to get them started on their manifestation journey. The first place I like to direct people completely for free is the motivation. You can see it linked below or on our homepage as our testimony library. And it's categorized by different subjects, whether you're calling in career, money, love, wellness, and much more. When you're reading about a member's experience of what they manifested, you're actually seeing to believe and showing your subconscious that that very thing is possible for you. The second place I like to direct people is to the free clarity exercise, which is also linked below. In it, you get to try our own unique hypnosis process, learn about the science, and some journaling prompts. And the best part about this, you'll get a tiny taste of what it's like to go into your hypnotic state, bring your subconscious forward, and create new neural pathways while receiving clarity. And the third thing, if you haven't listened to it on this podcast yet, please go back to the episode titled Manifestation 101, where you'll learn the basics of neural manifestation to truly understand this process. So go ahead and check out those free resources, the motivation, the free clarity exercise, and the episode Manifestation 101, all linked below. And in an effort to make sure to have representation in this process series, go ahead and submit any process testimonials you have, especially to our LGBTQ+ community, our BIPOC, as well as the Ys, which is anyone in the community who is 45 and over. All right, we'll be back next week.